Hello everyone, welcome back to the C programming course. This course is brought to you by Zeedup Technologies. In this video, we are going to see what is a string and how can we create strings in C. Then we are also going to perform some of the operations through the string header class in the C programming language. So this is what we are going to do in this video, and let us start with it. I have already created a project by the name of strings, and let's just go to this project. This is the main file of this project. That's where we are going to go. So first of all, we are going to see that how can we just create a string in C. So there are two methods of creating a string in C, and a very simple definition of a string only in the C programming language is that it is an array of characters. Means that string is nothing but it is a collection of characters which is null terminated, which means that string is going to contain characters, and all these characters are going to be terminated with a sign that is known as a null operator. Okay, so let's see this with the help of an example. So we are expected to create a character array in order to create a string. So how can we create a character array? You can just type char because that's what we do for characters. Then str, and then you can just put the square brackets to initialize it with a size, or to provide it with a size, and it is going to be say 6. Then we are going to initialize it, so we need curly braces and a semicolon. Okay, now in the curly braces we need to pass the values. So I'm going to store hello in this string str. So how can we store it? That's what we are going to see. We know the characters are stored in single quotes, right? So that's what we are going to do, is we are going to create 5 characters like H in single quotes, then put a comma. Then the second character is E in single quotes, put a comma. And this is how we are going to just write the word hello. So hello is written. Now after this, you put a comma. Once you have completed your character array which you want to store, you want to put a comma, and then the last value is going to be a null operator, that is this. \0 is known as the null operator. It is actually a character array termination operator. At the very end of the character array, you need to provide this operator so that it gives a message to the C compiler that the string is terminated over here, right? So that's what is a first method to create a string and initialize it in C. And let's see that how can we print it. So for that we need to use a printf statement. That's correct. Then we can just print string equals, we need a placeholder, and the placeholder in the case of string is nothing but mod s. Then you can just put a comma and then just write str. Alright, so terminate it with a semicolon as well, and let's just compile it and see what happens. String equals hello. So that is how you can create a character array of string and then just print it as well, right? Now there is one more thing. Since this is a character array, so you can just create a for loop as well and then just print the whole string. Okay, there is another way of that, but that is lengthy and we do not need it because our purpose is solved by this str only, so we do not need it. Now the second method of creating a string is pretty simple. It is also going to be a character array, so let's just create char, and this time we are going to name it as str2. Okay, it's actually str2, and we do not need to specify the size over here, and after that we need to provide this equal sign. And now instead of the single quotes or the curly braces, what we are going to do is we are going to use double quotes. Okay, and whatever message you want to write, you can simply write it using these double quotes. Like I want to print word over here like this. No need to provide the null termination operator, no need to provide the size, no need to provide anything, no need to write individual characters. Simple method. Let's just print the printf statement, write another printf statement for the second string. So \n, again string equals mod s, and this time we are going to print str2, right? Let's just compile it again. So string, the second string is word. So that's how you can create a string with double quotes. There is another way actually which is very similar to this. You can simply pass the length of this or the size. If you do not want to omit it, you can just pass the size over here as well. It's also valid. Like we can just pass here, say 10, and now if we compile it, then also you can see we are getting the same output. So the difference between them is if you're not sure about the size, you can just omit it. If you're sure, you can just pass it. But one thing that you must keep into your mind is, since this is containing 5 characters, so you need to pass a number more than 5 always. It minimum you need to pass is 6, and after 6 you can just pass any number of any number that you want. Okay, because you must take into account the null operator, and the usage of this null operator is very important when we are trying to perform any of the functions in this string. So with that, we just come to a header file in C that is devoted to the string operations, and that header file is known as string.h. Okay, so let's just include this header file in our main.c, that is #include string.h, and it helps us to perform some of the basic operations, such as it helps us to copy the strings, concatenate them, and find the length of these strings. Okay, so this after using this header file string.h, what we are going to do is we are just going to get rid of whole of this piece of code by just commenting it out, and we are going to create 2 fresh strings, right? So it's going to be a char s1. We're not going to specify its size, and initialize it with hello, and the second string is going to be char s2, no size, initialize it with word, and then we are going to just create another string, that's char s3, and we are not going to initialize it. So when you are not going to initialize the string, it is mandatory to provide its size. So I'm just going to provide 12 like this. Okay, now the first function that we are going to learn about is the length function, or the length of the string. So it will tell you that how long is the string, or how many characters does the string contain. So for that purpose, let us just create an integer variable L and initialize it with 0. That's where we are going to put the length of the string. Now to find out the length of the string, what you need to do is use a built-in function. This function is defined in this string.h header file. That's why we have used this file, and that function is known as strlen. And in here you can just pass the string whose length you want to find. I want to find the length of this first string s1, so you can simply pass s1, and then you can just print this length. So you can just write length equals, since it's an integer value, so mod d, let's just pass L. Let's see, compile it and see what's happened. So you get the length as 5. Why? Because string s1 is containing 5 characters, H, E, L, L and O. The second function is known as the strcpy function, that is used to copy the strings. strcpy is used to copy the strings, and it accepts 2 string arguments. First is the destination, that is where you want to copy, and the second one is the source, that is from where you want to copy. First is for and second is from. So s3 is where I want to copy from s2. So I want s3 now to contain word. Okay, so let's just print its value as well. Let's just write the printf statement. So print f copy copy. And since the copied value is a string, so mod s is going to be our placeholder and s3 is going to be the value, right? Let's just build it and compile it. So after copying, what we get? Word in s3. Okay. Then what we can do is we can concatenate the strings, or we can just add the strings, right? So for that we have a function known as strcat. What does it do? It just adds the second argument into the first one. So since s3 is something we got our a big value or more space with the size 12, so what we are going to do is we are going to use s3 and we are going to add s1 in it. This means the value of the s3 we are now expecting will be word hello. So let's just print it and see what changes do we get after concatenation in string s3. So let's just use the printf statement and just compile it. So you can see in concatenation we have got word hello. That means this is now the content of the string s3, where the value of s1 is now concatenated or added in the value of s3. So this is all about the strings in C, and thanks for watching.